Are you looking for a simple way to improve the health of your trees? Well, in this video I'm going to talk about slip potting and how it can improve the vigour of your trees and multiply the number of trees in your collection. Darren George here, bringing you information and inspiration as I grow my bonsai trees through the seasons. So if you're new here, consider subscribing. So I've got this Chinese elm to slip pot. I got this from an online bonsai retailer, and I also have a Chojubai Japanese quince, Kinomyles japonica, that I'm going to slip pot. This one is a Japanese import. It's actually in really good health, but I'm going to slip pot that one for a different reason, which I'll talk about a bit later. You might be wondering why I would like to take the tree out of this pot, which looks nice enough, and put it into a different pot which doesn't look as nice as a bonsai pot. Well, the answer is, when you've got a bonsai such as this that you've got from an online retailer, or maybe you've got it from a garden centre, they have been put in these pots with generally poor soil, and they've been shipped out not in the best of health. So when we come to start applying bonsai techniques to train this tree and improve its structure and its appearance, if you're using those techniques on a weak tree, you have real danger of either setting the tree back, slowing it down, or causing further health issues and maybe even killing the tree. A healthy tree is going to bounce back from drought much stronger, it's going to recover from any work we do much faster, and it's going to develop much quicker. So the basis of any bonsai work that we do is a really good healthy tree. And the way that we achieve health in a bonsai is to ensure that the roots are strong, they're able to do their job correctly, and that they have a good balance of water and oxygen. The soil that we've got in this pot at the moment doesn't allow a really good balance of water and oxygen. It doesn't drain very quickly, it doesn't dry very quickly, and there's not a lot of space for air to pass through the soil as it stands at the moment. Also, by giving the roots more room to grow, we increase the amount of water and nutrients that the tree can take up, which in turn increases the amount of growth at the top. The more growth that the tree is able to produce in the crown, the more work we can do without fear of setting the tree back or creating health issues, the faster that we can develop the tree and get it to a place where we're really happy with how it looks. Alright, so before we do the slip pot, let me show you the pot that this tree is going to go in and the substrate that I'll be putting it into. This is called an air pruning pot. The holes down the sides allow air to get to the roots dry out, and this causes the roots to divide further back, which creates a really dense, efficient root system. I will provide a link in the description down below where you can get these. The substrate is a mixture of Sunnycat Pink cat litter, which is a type of molar clay, and we've got some Melcourt bark chips in there as well. Again, I'll provide links in the description where you can get these items. So the first task is to take the tree out of the pot. Get rid of these stones from the surface first because they're in the way. I'm going to use this tool to gently release the roots from the side of the pot, being careful not to do damage. This will help ease the root ball past this lip. It's important when you do a slip pot not to disturb or damage the roots, especially if you do it at this time of the year. Damaged roots in the cold can cause issues, but as long as you're very careful, in the long run this is really an operation that's going to pay off. Okay, so now it's a case of easing the root ball past that lip. Again, being careful not to disturb the roots more than we have to get it out of this pot. And there we go, the tree's out. You can see these white roots at the bottom. These are the growing tips of the roots, and the fact that we've got some white roots down here is a sign that this tree is pretty healthy. That's a good sign. So we're going to have the tree sitting quite high in this pot, somewhere around this level. This will allow water to drain through really efficiently. It'll give plenty of room for the roots to grow, and it's really going to give us this really dense, efficient root system which will absorb the water and nutrients that it needs to really drive the health of the tree and the vigour of the growth in the crown. Right, let's start filling with substrate. So these pots, these root pruning pots, you tend to get a bit of substrate falling out the sides. A good tip if you're using loose substrate like this is to fill the pot with damp substrate. It doesn't fall out so readily. Check the height. Make sure any roots are tucked in because we don't want to lose any of those guys. Now it's a simple case of filling in any gaps. Making sure all of the root ball is nicely tucked in. And there we have it. We've slip potted this tree. All that's left to do is apply some water. This tree can now go back into my cold greenhouse, ready for the spring. Okay, let's look at slip potting this tree into this nursery container. This tree was imported from Japan. It looks really good actually. I really love this tree. It's Japanese quince, chojubai. It's got beautiful red flowers. It's got this lovely twiggy random habit to it. Really love it. But in the UK, these chojubai are actually quite hard to get hold of, and when you do find them, they can be quite expensive. So I splashed out, treated myself to this one, and now what I want to do is propagate from it. There's two ways to propagate from chojubai. You can either take cuttings, or you can take root cuttings. Root cuttings are a really simple but highly successful way to take cuttings from some species. Other species that you can take root cuttings from include Chinese elms, corkbark elms. When it comes to repotting season, I could take this tree out of the pot and see what roots we have to take cuttings from. But I'm not going to do that because there's not a lot of room in this pot for the roots to grow. So I think a better tactic is going to be to take the tree out of this pot now, without disturbing any of the roots, place it into a nice deep nursery container, allow the tree to grow for a couple of years in that pot, in which time the roots are going to get longer and longer and longer. They're going to thicken, and so that when I come to take the tree out of that container, I can take some nice thick root cuttings, pot those up, and within pretty short time we'll have some nice small chojubai to work with. Once I've got enough root cuttings from this tree, I can then work to compact the root ball back down again, get it into a nice bonsai container, and we'll be back to having this lovely chojubai in the collection. This tree is planted in akadama and it has been wired into the pot, so in order to get it out we'll need to go underneath, cut the wire, wiggle the tree out, get it planted. With these low branches in the way, it's really awkward to run the tool around the edge, so let's see how we get on. There we go. That came out really easily. Lots of nice fine roots in there. We're going to go and spoil it by putting it in a nice deep container. That's all good. Be worth it in the long run. This pot's got some pretty big drainage holes, so to stop all the substrate falling out the bottom, we've got a nice mesh. Because of the awkward bowl shape of the pot, I'm going to try and make sure that there is a similar shape of the soil that we're going to be placing the tree into. Tease that in. Ensure that any roots that we exposed are nice and covered. Got plenty of substrate to continue growing into. Apply some water so that it's not set on dry substrate. Again, this one's going to go in my cold greenhouse and we'll come back to it in a couple of years. Alright, so now we've finished slip potting our trees, we can put them straight back to wherever they were living before we took on this operation. So if it's a fully hardy species, back outside. If it's not a hardy species, back into the winter storage if it's winter. And if it was indoors, you can take it straight back indoors. If it's summer and you're doing a slip pot, it might still be worth keeping the tree in some shade for a couple of days. But generally speaking, slip potting is a much less invasive operation than doing a full repot where you work the roots, prune the roots, etc. Because we're not disturbing the roots, the tree pretty much continues as normal, and if you're increasing the size of the container, the tree should go from strength to strength. Okay, thanks for watching. If you found this video useful, please consider subscribing, and I will speak to you soon.